Want to speed up your language learning? Get access to all of our best PDF cheat sheets for free. Just click the link in the description and sign up for your free lifetime account right now. Hi everybody, welcome back to Ask Alisha, the weekly series where you ask me questions and I answer them. Maybe. Let's get to your first question this week. First question this week comes from Patricia Barbosa. Hi Patricia. Patricia says, good morning. I am reading a book and it has lots of contractions like I'd. Is this I had or I would? Which one is the correct one? Best regards, Patricia. Oh, that's a great question, Patricia. So this question is about how to know when I'd, the contraction I''D, is I had, and when it's I would, because the contraction is the same, right? I'd and I'd can be used for the same thing. So the way to know is to look at the word that comes after the contraction. So remember when you use, for example, an I would sentence pattern, like I would like to, or I would go to that if I were you. When we follow I would patterns, we use a verb in that base infinitive form, right? I would like to, I would go, or I would eat that if I were you. So when we use those I would patterns, the verb that follows is in the base, the infinitive form, so like the dictionary form. In contrast, when you use I'd for the contracted form of I had, the verb that follows is different from the I would contracted form. So when you use I had in the contracted form, I'd, you follow that with a verb in past participle tense. For example, I'd eaten too much means I had eaten too much. Or I'd slept late. I had slept late. So the verb that follows the I'd there is in the past participle form. This is how you know whether I'd means I had or I would. So again, to recap, you need to look at the word that comes after the contraction to know which one is which. And this might seem a little bit confusing at first, but over time you'll get used to noticing the verb pattern and the contraction pattern, and you won't have to think about it anymore. So the best way to practice with this is just to read. So to recap, when you see I would used as a contraction, I'd, you'll know that it means I would because the following verb is in the base form or the infinitive form, the dictionary form. When the contraction means I had, it's followed by a verb in the past participle form. So this is how you know which is which in your reading. So I hope this helps you. Thanks for an interesting question. Okay, let's move on to your next question. Next question comes from Ayman. Hi, Ayman. Ayman says, what is the difference between in the other hand and on the other hand? Okay, good question. So in the other hand and on the other hand. Let's talk about the simpler one first. In the other hand really just means that something, some object is inside someone's hand. So for example, if I'm holding my phone, I could say, my phone is in my hand, right? If I say something like, oh, but there's nothing in my other hand, or there's nothing in the other hand, it means that there is nothing contained inside it, or I am not holding anything. So when you use in, the preposition in, it means physically you're holding something or you're putting something inside your fist perhaps, so you're containing another object inside your hand. So when you use in the other hand, this is what it means. Like, I have a phone in this hand and in my other hand is nothing in my example situation. So when you use this preposition, it means physically inside your hand. Now, let's talk about on the other hand. So on the other hand is a very common figure of speech. So it doesn't actually mean on the surface of something in most cases. Perhaps there are some cases where maybe there's a bug or something like that physically on your hand, and you might say, oh, there's a bug on your other hand. Maybe in very, very few situations you might need to use that. However, in most uses of this expression, on the other hand is like a way of saying, in this other situation, or by the way, in this other kind of similar situation. So we want to talk about a related topic. So for example, I use on the other hand a lot in this series to show when I want to explain the other side of a topic. For example, if someone says, what's the difference between A and B? I might say, A is about this and this and this. On the other hand, B is about this and this and this. So we use on the other hand when we want to talk about two sides of a situation, or we want to compare opposites of a situation. We tend to use this when we're kind of contrasting ideas, or we're introducing maybe different different sides of the same topic. So when you want to talk about another part or another side of the same topic, you can use on the other hand to do that. So I hope this helps answer your question. In the other hand means physically contained inside your hand, something that you're holding, and on the other hand refers to the opposite side or another side of a topic of conversation. So thanks very much for this question. I hope that helps you. Okay, let's move on to our next question. Next question comes from Khaled. Hi, Khaled. Khaled says, I give up on learning English. I want some advice to keep up. I feel like I'm not good enough when I take a demo IELTS exam or read a newspaper and I find new words I've not seen before. For sure. It's hard to keep your motivation up when you find new things all the time and you feel like you're not making progress or there's still so much new stuff to do. Absolutely. I completely understand that that's really, really hard. So how do you keep your motivation up? First, of course, don't quit. So accept that you feel like demotivated sometimes. It happens to all of us. It's totally, totally normal. So then what do? So if you feel like maybe taking these practice exams or trying to read newspapers is too challenging for you, in your case, maybe because there's a lot of vocabulary words that you don't know, try taking it down a level. So for example, if reading a newspaper, like a native English speaker made newspaper, is too challenging, try to take it down a level. So for example, you can find news articles that are made for English learners. So those kinds of news articles will have key vocabulary words explained. They'll be written in a way that makes it easier for learners to understand the information without so much difficulty or without so much challenge. So if you're feeling demotivated because the things that you're using for your studies are just too hard, that's fine. Like you can recognize this is too challenging for me right now and just take it down a step. So if you take it down a step and work on some goals here, like at the level below where you are now, maybe working on vocabulary, building on some grammar skills, looking at how sentences go together, you'll build your confidence up and you'll be ready to move up to another level in the future. So just because you can't do this one thing right now today, it doesn't mean that it's not going to be possible in the future. So if you feel demotivated, just take it down a bit. That's okay. It's okay if you realize, oh, this is too much for me. So maybe something that you can do to get your motivation back is just to take a step back or take your studies down a little bit. Don't push yourself so hard and set some small goals that are easy for you to achieve. In your case, you mentioned working on vocabulary, running into lots of words that you don't know. So maybe that shows you that that's the next place for you to focus on. Maybe your next study goal for the month can be to learn 300 new vocabulary words and focus on that and then try to read that same newspaper article again. You might be surprised with the progress. So in sum, if you're feeling demotivated, that's okay. Just accept that you're going to feel this way sometimes and it's totally normal. It happens to everybody. In these moments, just give yourself a little bit of time to regain your confidence. For example, try picking a smaller goal that you know you can achieve easily in a week or in a month. For example, choosing a certain number of vocabulary words to study or choosing a couple of different grammar lessons to review. Just try to build your self-confidence up so that you'll be ready to work towards that bigger goal in the future. So thanks very much for this question, and I hope that you got your motivation back a little bit. Okay, that is everything for this week. Thank you, as always, for sending your great questions. Remember, you can send them to me at englishclass101.com/ask-Alisha. There is also a link in the description, so check that out too. If you like this lesson, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Also, check us out at englishclass101.com for some other things that can help you with your English studies. Thanks very much for watching this week's episode of Ask Alisha, and I will see you again soon. Bye!